Hello, my name is Jim Mullaney from SciTech Process Solutions. Today is Thursday, May 17th, 2018. Today I'm doing a video recording of the operation of the newest SciTech Process Solutions SlickDevice S1 graphical interface controller. This is an intelligent controller. It's a direct retrofit to the Semi-Tool 101 rinser dryers. It also, with slight modification, it's a retrofit into the 102 controllers. What I want to do is we have had a lot of software enhancements over the last quarter, and our marketing group hasn't been able to keep up quite yet with coming out with the new manual. So I'm doing this video. That way people can go on our YouTube channel and watch how to program the controller. A lot of people like, actually, instead of reading a manual, to see how a video works, so we're doing that for them. So when the system first boots up at your customer site, you'll get a screen that you set the date and the time. And then if you wanted to put a password in there that is not a default password, so operators can't do anything but run the process, you can do that. The default password is 000, and I'm going to leave it at that for now. I'm going to go ahead and show you, first run a simple process, a very short process. I'm actually going to change this because I don't need it that long, and I'll show you how to do it. The default screen when you're ready to run is the idle screen. The amber light means idle. You've got your typical rinse, purge, dry 1 and dry 2, different RPMs. Your graphical interface screen will tell you what's going on. In this case, just the only thing on is LPP. But I'm going to go and show you how to edit a recipe and then save it. So go into recipes. We have 0000. Remember, if you put in a new password in there, the operator couldn't get into this. Then what you can do is we have up to 20 recipes. As you see, we go down. The last 4 are Otto Cycle recipes, but I'm just going to go to recipe 1. I remember that's 60 seconds. I'm going to change that to 30. Yeah, 30. And I'll do that for do the second one for 32. A nice short process. It's not going to dry the wafers. Oops, I meant to hit 3. Let's go. 3, 0. And once you put in the new parameters, you hit save. And when you go back to recipes, whatever recipe on the screen you just saved is what will be on the process screen. There you go. Notice the times 3, 3, and 3. Whenever you're in edit recipe, or any part in the tool, when you're not ready to process, the amber light goes off because you can't run. It's an indicator that you're not ready to start. So I'll show you this simple screen quickly, and then we'll move into some of the other stuff with the controller. Imagine an operator loads their wafers like I'm just doing, close, and starts the recipe. There you go. Green means you're running process. You have your step up here, how much time is left in the step and what the RPM is. Look at that. We go to 500 like that. Our controller is a smart controller, and it knows how to get to the correct RPM and stay at the correct RPM. When you're looking at every step, green means you're on. In certain steps, LPP, N2, and purge are on. As you see on the right-hand side, there also the valves are on to show you. When you go into dry 1, dry 2, dry 1 came on. Bowl heater turned on now. You see how it highlighted? It's yellow and red now. It means it's running. It's green. It'll turn amber if your process switch opens up, which means it's at temp. You can see the N2 heater's on, the LPP's on, and the nitrogen's flowing. And now we're going to go into the last step very quickly. Okay. It tells you now you're in dry 2. There's the RPM. We're going to drop way down. It tells you what the step, what was programmed in. 400, and you'll see it'll go to 400 very quickly. Okay, one of the key things here is the anti-static module. Notice how it's lit up right there? Now the anti-static module's on, and your bowl heater's on. This gives you a graphical interface if a maintenance person wants to look and see is their tool running correctly. Excuse me. So, end of process. It breaks. It'll give you a warning. If something happened in the process, you had errors, it'll tell you you had an unsuccessful run. In this case, it should be success because I didn't bypass anything or stop it, and I had no failures. Complete successful run on recipe 1. Those are the times, total time, and you can either acknowledge it by here or open the door. Same thing. And I can open the door, and that is how a process runs. Very simple, a nice graphical interface, so you know what's going on. Let's go into some of the different aspects now. The alarm screen, if you had an alarm, it would come up and light up, and the alarm would be on. It would be lit up what it was. If the anti-static module wasn't working, if the RSP wasn't working, if the N2 wasn't working. So this gives you a graphical interface of what's going on if you get an alarm. the main menu. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we can go into settings, recipes, manual mode, Otto Cycle, cleaning, and alarms. Again, I talked about alarms. The Otto Cycle just talks about what Otto Cycle is. That is you can set a predetermined time that you can have the tool turn on and do a slow RPM clean. So not very many customers use the Otto Cycle, but it's still here. The recipes we talked about. You have your settings in your manual mode. In your settings, you have your clock, brightness, volume, password, and these are the two key ones: anti-static enabled and N2 saver on or off. Right now is N2 saver's on. So the anti-static means if you don't want to run anti-static for some reason, you can turn it off. It means it's not going to do a static charge, dissipate a static charge in your tool, or turn it back on. On the N2 saver, we'll talk about that in a little while, but what we have is we have a built-in software on our intelligent controller that allows you to, for the LPP, which is the biggest flow of N2 when the tool is idle, we turn that off, and there's a high percentage of the N2 that stops when that's happened. If you buy our N2 valve saver also, it's a valve right back here. When the N2 saver is on, you also turn off your, besides the LPP, you turn off your flow to your anti-static module, and you turn out your flow to your lab and seal. It's a great way for customers that do not run their tool on a regular basis to get a nice payback. It turns out we've done some analysis, and our salespeople are contacting customers where we have a payback analysis that you tell us your utilization rate. And by that we mean how much time is the tool actually running in a 24-hour period. Not ready to run, but running. And then we'll ask you what the average cost of your N2 is. We've got some good numbers from a lot of customers. And then it'll give you a payback, annual payback, with a graph showing what the payback return is. Basically, the SlickDevice controller is designed to pay for itself. So I'll get out of this screen, but if you want to set the clock, you can see it. Right now it's 6:34 p.m. on May 17, 2018, if you want to change anything. Brightness, if I want to change it, I can change it. And I can move it down there like that if I want to. That's the beep volume. I turn that down a little bit, turn it back up. Okay. As you notice, see how it got quiet in here? That's because I turned the anti-static module on. I had the perch saver on. Whenever you move between a screen like that, it'll turn back on, and then in 20 seconds it'll turn back off. Let's go into what I want to show you in manual mode. In manual mode, we give you a nice warning that says really an operator should not be in here unless they're trained. It's really for maintenance team. You read and understood. The reason we have that I read and understood is our data log and logs all the steps that you run. It logs on the alarms, and it will log that the operator pushed that. So if the operator said, "Oh, I wasn't in there," and fooling around, they can go to the data log, run a report, and it'll show you, well, yeah, we can see you pushed the button because it's been logged. So a couple things we can do. We have the TAC motor here. If you want to go in and do some testing on your motor and do some spinning, you can actually have open loop, means there's no feedback. That's just the raw power going to what the controller wants to send, what it thinks without really thinking what 1700 is, and I'll show you how that's done. Hit on. This usually runs around 300 RPM off. It can be anywhere from 100 to about 500 actually, but this one's pretty good. So this just shows you with just the raw power being sent, which is, this isn't really a test. You wouldn't really do this unless you just want to spin the motor and do some testing. Now the closed loop means we're doing TAC feedback, and our controller says, I'm so smart, I'm going to go to 1700 on the money. And look there's even no variation RPM. It's a good way for it to test if everything's running well. So I'm going to stop this. Okay, let's get out of here. Alrighty. There we go. Sensors. If you want to check your, look at your 20 psi sensor. If you want to see if the door's open or closed, see how the door, see I saw the door open and close when I do that. If the heater blanket switch, it's right now closed because it's not too hot. The RSP state, I think if I try to move this a little bit to see if I do that. Hold on. See how I'm moving the rotor? Now the RSP is not good, and now it's back at home position. I move it again, so it lets you know there's a failure. So you can do some testing of your sensors. Heaters and anti-static. These are one of the nice maintenance screens to be in. This tests 3 critical parts of your rinse and dryer. Your anti-static module, your N2 heaters, and your N2, I mean blanket, your N2 heater for the N2 flow, then your blanket heater. So if you want to test to see if your heater's working, let's turn on the N2 heater, and it's flowing N2 now, that's why it's on, and let's turn on the blanket heater. Yellow and red, as you can see, they come up. A flat line on these two mean they're running well. If it turns out your bowl gets too hot and your process switch opens up, your line would drop down. We call it flat line to the bottom. But this is a good way for a maintenance person to come by real quickly and say, is my N2 heater working? Is my blanket heater working? You can do about a 5-minute maintenance test on the rinser dryer and come back next quarter and check stuff again. So now I'm going to turn that off. One of the key features is we let you know if your anti-static module is bad. So we have the anti-static module plugged in. Let's show you. And you're going to see it in a second. Anti-static module, okay. It's showing you a nice pulse on the line, which we expect. Now let's say that your anti-static module is bad. And I will unplug it down here to show you that. Watch. I just unplugged it. Boom. We just flatlined, and now you have our DDL algorithm, which is proprietary. It just says fail. So now your anti-static module has failed. So if an operator comes up and says, I have high particle counts in my rinser dryer, they can actually do a quick test to find out if their anti-static module has failed on them. So that is a great maintenance test for customers. Okay, I'm going to step back in a second. Alrighty, resistivity. If you want to test your resistivity, I can show you the temperature, the raw ohms, and what the resistivity is. We have a dry probe now to 22. All manual, kind of lets you do a lot of stuff. Turn on your N2 heater. Oh, I got to turn on the flow first. It's telling me you can't turn the heater on until you turn on your N2. Now I can turn that on. It monitors that. If I want to check my anti-static here, I can. See if it's working. Oh, it's unplugged, which is perfect because it shouldn't be working. Excuse me. Turn that off. And the bowl heater. See how it lights up? And the current's being drawn. It shows it's working. I'll turn that off. I will turn N2 off. If I want to turn the rinse valve on, it will not let me open the rinse valve until the door is on a watch. Nope. It says you can't turn this on until you lock the door. Basically the door seal. Down here, I lock the door seal, nice and tight. Now I can turn it on. And you can't, the water's flowing nicely down there. Okay. So all stops everything. Okay, so that's a way to test all your different sensors. All right. Okay. And the Otto Cycle we talked about, the alarms we talked about. The controller info, that's important to know. If you ever have maintenance and need some help, warranty work, it gives you the firmware version, as I talked about, 2.0, which is the most recent SciTech release. We have a hardware version, a screen version, and a firmware date. It has some information about our company, and it gives our URL with our phone number. Hitting OK takes you back to the main screen. Alarm. Let's see what the alarm is. Red means an alarm happened. Now we can go to the alarm screen, which I talked about. Guess what? Anti-static failure. And we know that because I unplugged it. So now in your process, it could finish a process and you'd get an alarm. Operator wouldn't know what it is. They come up and they could call their maintenance group and say, oh, it looks like I have a faulty anti-static module. It needs to be replaced. It's that easy. You can clear it, but it's going to come back again on a process. Alrighty, so let's see what else there is to do if I want to go through any more. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, settings, we've done that. Gone through that, the cleaning, the alarms, which I talked about. If you have any, if anything's not working correctly, you'll get an alarm. But the process is, oh, maintenance needed, light tower on, watch this. So in the alarm screen, and I'll show you this back here, this alarm screen, if you had an alarm and you need maintenance, we have a light system that pulsates. That means maintenance is needed, and if the operators learn the tool, when they see the blinking light on our semi-tool spinning rinser, on our rinser dryers with our SlickDevice controller, that means you're down and you shouldn't be processing wafers. When a maintenance person comes over, he says, oh, okay. He looks what's wrong, says, okay, I'm going to turn the light off because I don't need it on right now. He can turn it off, and then he can go and fix what's needed, and then move it out of the screen. Okay, so let's go back in here. Let's see if there's anything else you want to go through. We've done the recipes, Otto Cycle's alarm settings, manual mode. I like to go back into settings. Again, we've talked about what those are, the brightness, the volume. You can turn the beeps down if you want. If you don't like it, if it's too loud, turn it back up. Screen brightness, see, I can phase it down, phase it back up. We tend to keep them higher when we're doing our testing here. Okay, and then again, we talked about that. The log, we talked about the log. You can run your log, and here's today's date, and I want to see what's going on. Hit OK. It's going to do a data dump. Just a second. It's connecting the screen to the log internal chips. Oh, okay, actually, the logbook has to be set up. I haven't set that up on this one. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's see what else there is. Alrighty, let's go into the alarms, maintenance, cleaning, controllers. I think we've done most of the ones. Again, recipes, the manual mode we talked about, resistivity, motor tach, valves, the sensors, the heaters. And go back. So in summation, some of the key issues with our controller is, one, we notify you on the process runs if any of the key parameters of the rinse dryer are not working with an alarm. Two is we have built-in N2 saver. You don't have to turn it on, but if you want to, and we have analysis here, we've done N2 testing, we have all the statistics that show that you have a massive return payback. Because I have it turned on, after 20 seconds, it's saving N2 now. It said, you're not running a process, and I'm going to turn off until you're ready to go. Watch what happens when I open the door. If I imagine I'm going to run some wafers. As soon as I open the door, the N2 started flowing again. So as you can see, right then and there, as we were talking, the controller said, I'm turning off the N2 flow. There's no reason to use that money. Our statistics found that customers that use the tool, 30 to 50% utilization, that's a lot. Because most times you walk through a fab, nothing's running. It's sitting idle. That the payback will be less than 15 months, sometimes faster, depending what size tool you have. The large 2300s that have double flow rate have a different payback. So now we're all idle. Everything's good. Again, it's a graphical interface controller. It pays for itself. It has N2 savings by doing that. It gives you alarm notification. The key thing is now what you have is with a refurbished semi-tool spinner and dryer head, and a state-of-the-art controller, you have a system that rivals any of the new manufacturers. In fact, we recently had a head-to-head evaluation at a company this week, and we were awarded the order. It was 2 new spin rinse dryer models against our refurbishment with our newest controller, and we were awarded the order against new manufacturers because of the technology advance in our controller compared to everybody else. All right, so if there's any questions about our controller, you can feel free to call us at 916-797-9000. Just ask for anyone in the sales organization. We'll be more than happy to send you all technical information, payback analysis, and pricing. Again, my name is Jim Mullaney. Thank you. Have a great day.